Hey everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to break down the very first map of that final. So we are hopping on board here as Chicago and Dallas. They met up in the final of CDL London. All of these matches were really close. In fact, they were closer than I expected them to be. There were a couple of clutch plays that each team made towards the end of basically all of these maps that led to them winning. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to break down this hard point. One thing I'll say real quick before I get into the actual nitty gritty of this breakdown is that make sure you go follow me on Twitter. So it's at IconNationYT. And the reason why I want you guys to follow me is because I'm putting out polls and I'm taking suggestions like, what do you want to see? It seems like every once in a while I want to see, you know, the hard point between Chicago and Paris, or I want to see the S&D broke down with Paris. And it just seems like I'm getting these suggestions all the time. So it's nice on Twitter to be able to throw out a poll there, and you guys can let me know what you really want to see. That way I know how to best serve my community that's growing out here. So as we hop into this one, there is a mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner, and as this is about to circle back to the second hardpoint, which is back here, you can see that Clayster is already inside. You can see that Chicago is spawning out mid-map, and Dallas has the spawns. So to begin here, there's one team that clearly has an advantage as it goes towards the second hardpoint. Now, with that being said, Gunless with a two-piece, Scump with a kill, Scump with another. He ended up going down in hill, but you don't see this very often. So this is one, especially hardpoint number 2, so P2 on this map is really hard to break, and that was a phenomenal job right there for Chicago of, I know they didn't get a flip, but now we're over halfway through this hardpoint, and Clayster is just getting in again. So in terms of the setup for this specific hardpoint, this very easily could have went Chicago's way. They could have had a 60, 70-point lead after this hardpoint. So Chicago did a really nice job of just slowing down the bleeding, as per se. I know that they weren't really bleeding, but instead of, again, this being a 70-18 game, they're only down by about 25 points or so when that's all said and done. So as this rotates back to the other side, what I want you to pay attention to, left-hand side of the mini-map over here, is this person that's rotating over there. So Illy just got a kill on Scump, and the reason why that's so important is because that's going to set up spawns for Cave West if you're Dallas. Now, there is a really interesting play that ends up happening on Cave West. I think it's the second set of rotations, which we will get into. But as of right now, that person ended up going down. So right now, if you're talking about P3, where we're at right now, this is kind of contested, right? Just like the first hill and just like the second hill. So this one is contested, but whoever has this left side is going to have the advantageous spawn as it rotates to P4, which is in Cave West. Now, there is somebody currently in there for Dallas. Can't see exactly who it is, but they just went down. So Scump got a kill on Shotzi. So right now, if you're looking, we're about to rotate in 6 seconds. So not only was Chicago able to get the last 10 seconds or so in the current hardpoint, but they rotated early, and now they're set up. In hard points like this one, the way that you get the majority of these points is that you push up just a little bit. So where Formal went down right there, that's not where you want to be taking that gun battle. So again, mini-map bottom left-hand corner, they're inside, but you want to have somebody pushed up into B-Dom, pushed up on the other side of this little mini cave here, because if you're pushed out and you're flanked out a little bit, then you can take not only these gun battles where they least expect it, but it'll take more waves for them being able to get through. And those are just nasty gunshots there from Arcades. Those are massive kills. This is one of the things that they really talked about in the post-match, is just how good some of these kills from Arcades were, even though he didn't have his best event, right? We'll actually talk about that. I'll talk about that on my London breakdown later on in the week, but right now, this is another big play. So Scump, if you're watching this on screen, he's just sitting here. And if you look at the mini-map, this is happening down here. So essentially what he's waiting to do is he was waiting to the last possible second to kill Illy, because the whole point of him being back here is that they're really trying to get this back spawn. Not only is it really good for P5, but it's also good for P2. So for P5, P1, and P2, you want to be on this side of the map so that you're set up or in the best position for those 3 hills. So as you can see in terms of spawns, Chicago is now spawning in this back right position, and that's going to have them set up not only for the rest of this time, but also for P1 and P2 as it rotates back there. Now, why this hill is so dangerous is because if you have control of this hill, That's a nice kill there from Huke on Gunless. But if you have control of this hill, as they do right now, you can only come from this cliff's edge or from this mid flank. That's the only way that you could get to P5. There's only 2 routes that you could get there. So this is a really big hill just because the ways to break it are so small, and it's probably not going to happen, that if you can get the majority of P2 and P5, that's really how you end up winning this map. And both of those hills, you want to spawn in the back right side of the map. Now, I want to point something out real quick because I thought this was a big mistake. So I'm just going to go back like 15 seconds because I want you guys to be able to see this. So as we go back, we're on board with Formal right now. And I'm going to draw on the screen in the bottom left-hand corner minimap, and you can see Formal's right here. So in terms of if you're rotating to the first hardpoint, they're set up where you want to be for second hardpoint, right? There's somebody up here. There are people going down also, but all of these arrows right here is where you want to be if you're Chicago because, again, as it rotates back, this is P2, and if you have this spawn, then you can push out into cave a little bit, push into this mid cut, and you can really get the majority of the time there. Now, I want you to follow this arrow on the bottom of the map because this is Formal, and this is a really big mistake. I'm actually kind of surprised that they were able to win this map even though they did this. So what you're going to see is Formal just died and right there. So the fact that they pushed out so far, so these 2 green arrows that were here pushed out over here to P3, and just that little bit. Look, there's still somebody back here for Chicago, but that's not enough to hold down that back spawn. So there were 2 arrows over here. There were 2 Chicago players over here on this left side of the map. And as soon as you start to push P3, which is right here, and you give up these lanes into P2 in this back spawn, now all of a sudden you're going to be spawning out. So those players that just died that are coming up off of spawn, you can see that they're spawning on this side of the map. And that is a major mistake just because in most instances, if you have control of P2, that's a free 40 or 50 points. If you have P5, same thing. That's a free 50 or maybe even 60 points. So that's a pretty big mistake there. I get that Formal is just trying to pinch on the middle there and get a line of sight, but it's really in the grand scheme of things, those points aren't that important. You want to go ahead and contest P1 as much as you can, but you want to be set up for P2. That's the super important one. So right now, this is just a constant battle. And if you're Dallas, this is another key mistake. So they just saw this person, whoever. So Crim6 is right here. Again, I'm drawing on the minimap. He just saw this green arrow flank around. But if he didn't catch that, this person had a free route back here to the favorable spawns for P2. So I'm pretty positive that whoever is on rotation there ends up dying. I can't see exactly who it was. So, oh, I lied. That was Envoy. So look in the kill feed right here. I didn't remember this happening. Envoy just killed Huke. Envoy just killed Illy. So those are massive kills, but now you can see that Envoy is pushing back, and he's just going to try to do the same thing that Scump did on P5. He's just trying to hold down this back location, and then as Dallas is over here and rotating back, he's going to try to pick up those kills and just hang out as long as he possibly can for his teammates to come as reinforcements. Now, the other thing is that if you look at the top middle of your screen, there was about 15 or 20 seconds left when that came through. So the rest of that time on P1 is going to end up going to Chicago. Now, Envoy did go down, but if you're Chicago, this doesn't hurt you all that much. You've already broken P2 once, and you were able to get the majority of the time in P1. So in those two things, if you were to combine those two factors, this isn't going to hurt you all that much. Now, if you got 10 points on P1 and you gave up 60 seconds on P2, that would really hurt you, right? That would be a big mistake. But since they were able to get quite a few of those points on P1, then giving up time here on P2 doesn't really hurt all that much. One thing that you'll notice is that look at all of the slaying that's happening. So we just caught it a little bit late there, but there were multiple white arrows or white skulls here. There was some on this back flank over here. So in terms of slaying, Crim6 and Clayster absolutely go off in this, but with everything else, it was just kind of an underwhelming performance. So these kills from Scump, they don't have spawns, and look at all of the points that they're getting here. This is one of the most impressive breaks that you'll see. They were able to get those kills back from those P2 spawns, and they were able to get the last of those 40 seconds or so. That's something that you never see. I've probably watched, I don't know, I've watched scrimmed on this map probably 150 times, at least, I would say. And that's happened, I can count them on one hand, how many times I've seen somebody not only push that hill, but push it and get so many kills, so multiple waves of team kills that forces that other team to spawn out. It just doesn't happen all that often. So that's a big turning point on this map right there, is that they were able to break P2 not once but twice and get the majority of the points on P2. As we're here on P3, with about 30 seconds left, pretty soon you want to start paying attention to the battle towards Cave West. So, as we can see, if we're looking at Clayster, Clayster's right here in the middle of the map. That's all he's trying to do, is that he's just trying to slow down those rotations. So, Clayster just killed Gunless, right? Right here on the mini-map, Clayster just got a kill right there. If Gunless wins that, then he can push through over to P4, and now Gunless is going to be the one that's set up over on P4. Now, another interesting play real quick that I want to point out. I don't know if you're Dallas, I don't know how this happened, but let me go back just a few seconds because they do hop on board with him. So as we go back, here's Envoy, right? So Envoy is pushing out of P3. And as he's leaving P3, he's going to go through Spiral, and he's going to walk across this bridge. And as soon as he does, neither of these white arrows here, there's two arrows right there, neither of those two get eyes on Envoy. And what that allows is that allows him to push up through and get all the way behind. And when he gets into the hill, he's able to take out two. And essentially, that's how they're able to get a few seconds and overtake this P4 hardpoint on the second set of rotations. Let's go ahead and let's follow along here. They are going to switch off, but just watch those arrows in the bottom left-hand corner. This is Call of Duty timing at its absolute best. So not only was Envoy able to sneak through here with nobody looking at him, but this white arrow here was looking that way until he just got this close. As soon as he got this close, now he's able to push through, and it's just like the seas just parted open for him. It's just this open lane, this open flank where he's going to be able to push from behind. He's going to give that up on Hugh. He knows where he's going to be at. Runs behind Crim6, gets that kill, kills Shotzi, and then he just misses that kill on Hugh. But look at the kill feed. There were just 4 down, and that's what has allowed Formal to get pushed up here. I would have liked to have seen better shots here from Formal. That was kind of underwhelming. Most of the time when you see Formal in a scenario like that, he ends up getting the majority of those kills when he's in a position like that. So a little bit of a shaky shots. If he was able to kill 1, maybe 2 there, then they're probably able to get a lot of those points, but it just didn't happen and end up that way. Now, this is a really critical time for Dallas. So not only are they getting all of these kills in P4, but Illy is over here, set up over here. He's in the same exact building that Scump killed him in last time. Remember when Scump was sitting in the bottom of that broken building and was just waiting to kill him? So not only are they getting all of this scrap time in P4, but they're also set up in P5. So they're set up to go ahead and take the lead here, quite honestly. That's a big kill from Crim6. So the last 10 seconds, he gets that kill on Arcides. So if either of those kills go the other way, now we're talking a 220 to 150-ish battle somewhere in there, or a 220 to 140 battle as it rotates back to P5 on this second set of rotations. Now, again, like we talked about, this is just one of those critical hills because it's so hard to push through. So Shotzi is tucked in this right corner over here. There's somebody on hill. Look at these long ARs that are just watching this sight line towards mid-map. It's just so hard. It's so difficult to break this. Even if you have smoke, there's only 1 or 2 ways that you can push through there, right? So if I'm Formal there, I probably wouldn't have pushed so much. I would have liked to have gone around the back side rather than get to that jump up, just because if you can hide back there, a lot of the times you can force spawns to switch. But look at the score in the top middle of your screen. What was once a 50 or 60 or 70 point game is just about to be tied as it goes back to P1. And at this point in time, if you're rooting for Chicago, this does not look good for you, right? Because as this is about to rotate to P1, remember, for P1 and for P2, you want to have this right side spawn. You want to be the team that's spawning on the right side of the map. So at this point in time, if you're rooting for Chicago, this isn't really looking all that great for you. I know that at the moment they have enough points, they have enough time to win on the current hill, but again, this is just, I don't know if it's just the pressure or the high stakes of being on the main stage, being in the final, but you just caught a glimpse of Scump, and Scump was able to push through. So as he pushes through, you can see these green arrows coming up back here. And as those green arrows come up, that means that spawn is rotating, and now Chicago's getting this favorable spawn. And I think what happened is that Dallas they knew that they couldn't give up all those points on P1. So they pushed towards P1 to try to contest that or get points there, but they all ended up pushing. There ended up being a couple of key deaths in the back, and now all of a sudden they're on the current hill, but they're not set up for P2 to go ahead and win the game. So with 13 seconds left, this is another grave mistake. I don't like this play at all. So let's just take a look. Look at the top middle. It's 2:36 and there's 12 seconds left. So you can get this from this current hard point. You can get this to 2:48 if you're Dallas, which means all you'd have to do is just push once as a team through smoke, through mid-cut. Maybe you can get a team kill, and if you hop on, you're going to win. That's all it's going to take. And watch what they do here. So we'll press play again, and watch what happens with Clay. He leaves. Why are you giving up these last 8 or 9 points? I just don't like it. I know that they're selling out for this final hard point, but what you have to do is just get together one final push as a team, and essentially what's going to happen here is that they freak out, they start to die, they start to push in a staggered motion, right? One person will push, another person will push, and they start to stagger their deaths, and at that point in time, it's one team versus 1 or 2 people. So if we go ahead and press play, so Illy went down, and then Clay went down, and then Krim went down, and then Huke went down, and then now Shotzi and Illy went down again. And you can see how it's not a concerted effort to push together. It's one person pushing, another person pushing. So look mid-map. So there's a battle going on mid-map. They end up winning that one. Illy wins that, but Huke goes down. And then this is just one more pushing. And then Illy goes down. And then Crim6 goes down. And then everybody's pushing through. They don't have a choice, right? They don't have a choice anymore, so they all have to push through this mid-cut, which is what they should have done to begin with. They should have taken those last 8 seconds. They should have popped smoke maybe on this left side to make them think they were coming to the left, and then just team push through this right side. And if you all go down, then you just shake their hands and you say GG. But if that's not what happens, that's what gives you the best chance. You're definitely not going to be able to, the way that this P2 has gone, you're not going to be able to push through, get a team kill, push out further, get another team kill so that you can get 12 seconds. That's not going to happen. You had to have gotten those last points on P1 and then set up a team push together and just be more concerted in your efforts. Where with this, it just seems like they knew that they had to get to P2. They had to get a couple points, so they just gave it up. And then with that is the mistake that ends up costing them the game in my mind. There were a couple others, but that one is the one that sticks, and that's the one that comes to mind. Now, again, I wish we could see the scoreboard because Clayster and Crim6 went absolutely nuts. Those two had a phenomenal game. In terms of Chicago, it was kind of more well-rounded, right? The ARs are the ones that really led in this one. So Formal, Crim6, Clayster, the ARs did really well. The difference maker is that on this map, so they actually just brought it up right here. The difference maker is look at the damage that was done. This is what I was going to talk about. By Envoy. Envoy did 3,800 damage on Azhir Cave with an SMG. And that's the difference maker. If you look down at the bottom, you have Clayster with 38. You have Krim with 41. Again, their AR is slayed, but the difference maker was Envoy and being able to really get a ton of damage. Now, you might say Illy was able to also. He was pretty close to that, but then look from there. So Arcides with 3,500 damage, Gunless with 37, whereas Shotzi and Huke are at 33 and 3,000. So in terms of just the raw slaying ability, there was one team that clearly had an advantage over the other from the SMG position, which is what happens when you get inside of the hills. So I know this video is a little bit longer, but there was a lot to break down. So if you're new around here, let me know that you like this video. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for all future breakdowns. If you have any comments whatsoever, leave them down below. I love the interactions and going and reading through your guys' comments. And with that, thank you so much. I will catch you guys in the next episode.